today, Stitching in the Barn, and it is Wednesday, February the 13th, the day before Valentine's Day. So I'm actually in the barn. I've thought about trying to move locations, which I will do. It's too cold to be anywhere else. I could either be in the house or I could be here in this room of the barn. So that's where I'll be today, because it is cold. We had a 2-hour delay the Monday of this week, and then yesterday we had no school. We basically had an ice storm is what it felt like. It was snow, but it was sleety snow, and when you looked out it didn't look that impressive, and what you see landing on the fields wasn't that impressive. But I tried to walk out and shovel this morning, and it was just ice, and luckily it's gone up to 40 degrees today, so it should be melting. But the roads look pretty good. I can see a road from here, and that doesn't look bad. But our driveway is just yucky. And my daughter wasn't feeling great, and so she ended up staying home from school anyway. But they did not have school yesterday, and today they had a 2-hour delay, I'm sure, to try and clean up those parking lots, which must have been a nightmare. But so here we are. Weather. Hashtag weather. My husband is away this week. He and some pals are hiking in the Grand Canyon, so he is thrilled and he's having a blast. But there was nobody here to make lovely fires in the fireplace and, shovel and do all those good things. So I'm having to hold down the fort, which I'm doing okay. But anyway, that's what this week has been like. I hope you're all having a good time and not too much bad weather, and I hope you're all going to have a nice Valentine's Day too. I did have some questions which I will go over, and I'm afraid I don't have the people's names, but one was asking, she would like me to ask Kay when I speak to Kay again, what is a good sampler to start on? She's never stitched a sampler, as I haven't either, truthfully, and so I'm thinking, I can give my advice anyway. I think pick something you really like. I would go for something that's not too involved and complicated, and maybe not too big. And also I would say not too many specialty stitches if that makes you uncomfortable. I might start with Needleworker Sampler by Brenda Gervais. That's one of the ones I got from Kitten Stitcher. And it does have an Algerian stitch, which really isn't difficult. But other than that, it's just cross stitch, and it's a fairly open motif. It's not too tight, the border. It's not too intense. I don't think it would take too long. And it's got rows, all these things that sort of give you a sense of orientation, where you are in the linen, if you know what I mean. So I think this would be a good one to start with. I might do this as my very first ever one. And also, I love this because it's the Needleworker Sampler. So it's got a needle, and it's got a little pair of scissors. I guess I was looking at it and it probably didn't show you, but it's got a needle up here and it's got scissors, and I just think that's fun. As your first ever sampler, maybe to do it something stitch related, but it's up to you. But I will certainly ask Kay when I see her and see if I can get some better advice for you. And I'm sorry I didn't write down your name, and I looked through the videos and I couldn't find your question again. So speaking of Kay, Kay has said yes, that she will let me come and we will do some more talking and showing of her samplers. I should have kept that as a secret surprise maybe, but she's game. So that's going to happen sometime in the future, and I will try and do a better job of taking my time with each one, giving you the name of each one, if we think it's still available, what she found interesting or difficult about each one, and maybe just do a few at a time. I don't know how we'll do it, but we'll definitely be talking more to Kay and her samplers. And Bob has said yes also, so I will show you some of Bob's beautiful furniture. So that's something to look forward to. The weather is icky now, and I've been a little under the weather this past week. I don't know if you can hear it in my voice. Excuse me. But it'll happen, but I'm taking my time. I think maybe when it gets a little warmer we'll do that. We'll see. I had another question. Somebody asked where and how I met my husband. Well, I met my husband in Edinburgh, Scotland, and I was there as a postgraduate student, and he was there as a undergraduate student. Hee hee. And we met, and the rest is history. We are now living here in the States. We have 3 children. I realized I probably didn't go over some of these things on my first video, but so it's fun. We thought we were he was doing development economics, and we thought we would be living overseas somewhere. He grew up in Kenya in Africa on a tea plantation, and had always dreamed of working for like the World Bank or something and working overseas. And that didn't happen. And for various reasons, I was very tied to the farm here. I grew up with my grandparents, I think I told you, and I adored my grandfather. And he had a stroke, and we thought, well, I would like to go home and see him and maybe help take care of him. And so we ended up coming here, and then of course Hugh got a job here, and we just stayed, and it's a very happy thing. We were very happy. But so that's a little bit of my background story for Valentine's Day. We did date for 8 years, I'll tell you, because I see young people sometimes, and they have cell phones and all these fabulous contraptions, and they're like, oh, my boyfriend's half an hour away. I'm like, hey, mine was in another country many of the years when we were dating, because I had gone over as a student, so I had a year in Edinburgh, and then I came back because I wanted to switch departments and I needed to earn more money, and so then I had a year, we were a year apart, and then I went back for another year, and then Hugh decided he wanted to go to graduate school, and so we kept being in different places, and we would write letters, which I think is a fabulous romantic thing to do. I think it's a wonderful way to get to know somebody. And I think there's something to be said for the old-fashioned writing letters. I would wait each week, and then the blue airmail envelope would arrive, and I'd be all excited, and I'd read his letter, and then I'd think about what I had done that week and what I wanted to tell him about, and I'd write him back. And then I think around that time, it became less expensive to call. So we started calling. We might call once a month, I think. We would hear each other's voices once a month. And the most we were ever apart was 9 months at a time. And then he would either come over here and visit, or I'd go over there, or, sometimes we were studying in the same country. But anyway, that's a little bit of our story. And has a happy ending, so that's all good. I'll show you what I've been working on this week. I made a lot of promises or declarations that I was going to do this and this and this and this, and I didn't do as much. As I said, I wasn't really feeling very well this week. But I did do some things that I said. First thing I should show you is a finish, because I finished Stacy Nash Primitive's Merry Christmas pin keep. I could have taken it out of the plastic so it wouldn't be glary at you, but there it is. I'm trying to hold things longer because somebody said I didn't hold them up long enough, so I'm sorry about that. So here it is. Ta-da! Not ironed. But there it is in all its glory. And I have to point something out to you. It's missing the letter J. There's no J in it. It goes EFGHIKLMN. Isn't that funny? No J. Oh well. I did it as charted, so I wasn't going to mess around and try and stick a J in there, so that amused me. I did not work at all in the glitter cottages. I worked on the Annie B's Country Christmas Club ornaments. I found my yellow thread, so I put that on, and then I just forgot to put the buttons on. So I did do the border around that's got the sort of goldy, yellowy brown border. So this is finished, really. I was calling it finished last week, but it's really almost finished, except for the buttons now. And the next one is a little snowman's hat called Joyful Top Hat. So there that is. And this is where I am. So I was pleased with that. Then what else? Oh, I found the pattern that I lost from my Stitch 9 challenge. It's the Prairie Grove Peddler by Cheryl Haynes. 3 pumpkins. This is the one I said we had saved the stem for. From our pumpkins this year, I had 3 pumpkins and I thought, perfect, I'll save the stems. I'm not sure they all got saved permanently. I think maybe there's just one lurking around the house somewhere. But at any rate, that's a start. I could always cut a branch or something. But I thought those are going to be so quick. I'm just going to do all 3, lickety-split, la-la-la. And then there was a lot of stitching on this. Oh, I don't want to lose my needle. Wait, there we go. There was a lot of stitching on this. I started with the medium one, and that's as much as I got done. I got the Indian corn and the pumpkins and a little cat, and I started on a branch of some kind. And then the idea is you sew them in a circle and sew the bottom and the top and stuff them, and then you put the stem on the top and you make pumpkins, which I'm excited to do that, but I have to finish it first. Finish stitching it. And then I have been working on my Hawk Run Hollow, and I think I posted this on Instagram. I was watching Lori of Texstylust, very happy to see her back, and she was doing this fabulous whip parade of beautiful things she started, and in all her glorious project bags, and it was lovely. And she said, oh, this one's DMC, but you know, I think I'll throw in some fancy floss for the bigger objects. And I thought, oh, I wish I'd thought of that. Because to be truthful, if we talk about Hawk Run Hollow, I love their patterns, but there's something about the color choices that, I don't know if they're not my personal. Like Lori was saying, she's so not a blue person. I am definitely a blue person. Not emotionally, just the colors. I like the blues and greens. Maybe it's from living in Scotland and Britain, but there's a lot of yellows and oranges in Hawk Run Hollow patterns. And I don't know that I love all the colors. But for the farms anyway, that seemed appropriate, sort of barn reds and, you know, the yellow of the fields and things like that. So that's the one I'm doing, that's the one I've started with. I have other Hawk Run patterns, but I'm going to start with the farms. And it's kind of too overwhelming to me to think about changing the colors. Like, it's such a big thing and all the different sections, and it's beyond me at this point. So I thought I'll just go as charted. And so I started, or I continued the block I'm working on for February. So this is the one I did in January, and then this is February's block. And I'm loving this willow tree. I think that's so much fun. So I'm starting to do the branches of the weeping willow tree. I did the piggy, I've done the barn. I'm saying to my daughter, in what universe is this a cat? But I guess it's like folk art, you know, it's sort of interpretation of a cat. So there's one cat started, and there's going to be another little cat next to him, and then there's some swans in the pond, I think. And then I'm done. So I think I'll get this finished by February, but I was thinking what a great idea Lori had, like for the barn anyway, that I could have done in variegated floss, and I bet that would have been fabulous. But it's a red barn, you know, it's fine. But I'm not taking it out now. So there's where we are with that. What else do I want to tell you about? Oh, there's my very first commenter ever, I think, was this new Flosstube I've been watching. It's called SewGrateful, spelled like sewing, S-E-W, SewGrateful, and she really is grateful. It's Darlene is her name, and she lives in Oregon, and she is funny. She reminds me of some friends I've had. She's sort of like, her mind goes faster than she can keep up with, I think, because she's, you know, talking about different things, but she's full of interesting and funny stories, and I think she's lived overseas, and done a lot of interesting things in her life, and she quilts and she sews, and she's got collections of different interesting things, and beautiful cross stitch as well. And she's just, there's something very sweet and sincere, and I don't know if I want to say gentle, or there's something dear about her. I don't know how to explain it. She's just she's fun to spend time with, and she always, like, when she starts off, she always says, "Come on in, I made cookies," or "I made, you know, muffins," or something, and you feel like you're chatting away with an old friend or something. So she's crazy, but I really I get a kick out of her, and so I hope you go have a look at her. I've been having fun watching back and forth and leaving comments with her. So that's Darlene at SewGrateful. So that's a little shout out. I think I'll show you some things that from the Cabinet of Wonders, some things that I'd finished in the past. The first one is, that's this, I'm not sure if this is, I think this is the Flip It. Oh wait, I can tell you in a second. It says spooky at the top. Yes. Okay, this is Lizzie Kate. And it's these Flip It charts. It's a Halloweeny again. Oops, not the chart, but I guess they were just called, oh, it's called Boo Club. That's what it is, Boo Club. And I stitched this a couple years ago, many years ago, but I think about a year and a half ago or 2 years ago, I sent them to Vanna. And she finished it for me, and beautifully finished. She found this funny graveyard frame for it. Wall hanging. I was watching Stephanie and Pam on Just Keep Stitching, and they were saying, "Oh, I don't like wall hangings." Like I do for some things. For something like this, I think it's perfectly fine to have a wall hanging. I don't want to have a big long frame everywhere necessarily. I can just stick a nail in the wall and hang this up and then yank it out when Halloween's over. So that is beautifully finished for me by Vaughn. It's wrinkly because I stuff it in a drawer. I'm not very good about taking care of my stuff. And here's how she did the back with this cute fabric. So thank you, Vanna. I love that. And another finish by Vanna was the Tingles charts, which are also Lizzie Kate. Again, Halloween. I thought, well, I can have the set now. I'll have one of each. And this one, I wanted her to finish it like a quilt, you know, like wall hanging quilt, which I think she did a fantastic job. So I have a dowel, a wooden dowel that I just slip through here when I want to hang it up, and then I have 2 nails I hammered in the wall, and I just prop it on that, and then I just take it down when I'm not displaying it. But here's how she finished it with the black border and then the orangey check fabric. So, and then it's just like that on the back. I just love it. I think that really looks cool with this color fabric, linen, which I probably have written down somewhere what it is, but it's got this lovely sort of deep orangey tone to it, and then the black and this, I just think that looks really cool. So I was very pleased with that. Again, thank you, Vanna. And then, because it's Valentine's Day, I thought I'd show you some little quilt pieces that I'm making to make like a little runner. I took a class, I think this is to see if you liked using an AccuQuilt for cutting out pieces. There's a local sewing store near me called Burn Sewing, and this wonderful woman, Kathleen, teaches these classes. And she's very creative, and she comes up with all kinds of ideas for things. But anyway, we were doing hearts for Valentine's Day and make a little runner. So here are my hearts that I'm going to piece together and make some sort of a runner from for Valentine's Day. I think this would be a cute little table runner, and then I will just, I might put something in between them. But I was just having fun trying out different fabrics, making the hearts. So I think they could all go together. Some of them are more batik-y, some of them are more delicate, like almost like a feed sack cloth. But I think if I alternate them, they'll be okay together, the colors. So that'll be fun. I might even get that done by tomorrow. And then I was digging around and I found the original quilt that I was learning to quilt. I had taught myself I had made some little tiny pillows, piecing stars and things. But then I thought, I want to take this quilt class and really learn proper quilting techniques. I think it was when rotary cutting was just starting and I wanted to know all about that. And I signed up for this quilt class, which I was so excited to take. And I got in there and I felt so ill. I could not look at the fabric. I thought, what is wrong with me? I would try and choose fabric and my eyes would sort of swim and and the smell of the sizing and things. And I was just like, oh, I just don't feel well. And then I discovered I was pregnant. So that's the story of my first quilting class. And digging around, I found the original blocks that I was making. This was supposed to be like a sampler quilt. And I thought they looked kind of Valentine's-y, the colors I had chosen. So I thought I might put these together to make some sort of little runner for Valentine's Day. So I had this one, and I had this one, and I had this one. And that's as much as I got. Oh, that really needed to be ironed. But that's as much as I had done before I just like, oh, I did not feel well. So I think I continued to take the class. I went every week and I would take notes and, this is before you had pictures on your cell phone, but I have all the instructions and things for the different blocks to make someday, and I have the fabric, but I will probably not finish that. I think I'll probably just put those three together and maybe add something with it and then call it a day and make a table runner or something. But it made me laugh remembering those days. It's a long time ago, 25 years ago. Here is a whip. It's not my oldest whip, but it's quite old. It is Peace on Earth by Blackbird Designs. And I was so disappointed when I started stitching this. I think it's one of the first ones I ever used fancy floss for. And it just was not looking like this picture. This had looked so charming and primitive and old and Christmassy to me. And when I started doing my strawberries, whoops, they looked positively orange. And I will show you what I mean. So here was mine. And that is the color as called for. And I was like, oh no, that's really not what I wanted. And the Peace on Earth, I didn't like that, like on this. And in those days, I was too inexperienced, I didn't, and plus the stores are over an hour away from me, so I'm trying to remember what was going on in my life. I probably had young children, and I just couldn't get to the store. And so I tried to carry on with it, and it just was not making me happy, and I should have gone to the store to, Strawberry Sampler or just Cross Stitch or somewhere and had them help me pick out a different color to substitute. But I dug around in my DMC box and I tried to come up with colors that I thought would look more strawberry-like and also be Christmassy. And I've come up with the most cockamamie neon day glow toxic strawberries you've ever seen. I have to show them to you. Those, no, not good. These, no, not good. And get ready for it. These, ooh, would you eat a strawberry that looked like that? I don't think so. I hope not. So, it's nearly finished. Do I tear all those strawberries out and put new ones in? I think yes. I think I probably have to. Because I do like this. When I see it again, I'm like, I really like that, but those strawberries have got to go. Maybe I'll get my pals at the cross-stitch shop to help me pick out a different color. Or maybe I'll look and see what the original colors called for were, what were they? They were mulberry and ginger snap. I guess my ginger snap was super orangey. I'd like something that's a little redder, not so orangey. And the mulberry I think was okay. Although that also, I think mine was particularly purpley and maybe needed to be a little bit redder. I think that's probably the mulberry one. Maybe I didn't show that one. That's not bad. I should probably just carry on with that. But I did not like on the lettering piece on Earth, like how orange that is. So I think that has to go too. So we'll see. It's nighttime now. I'm back in the house. The last thing I wanted to show you were some quilts that I had made. I made each child one when they were quite young. I can show you my eldest child's and my youngest child's. My middle child has his with him. He's doing a semester out in California, and he took his quilt with him, I believe. But I can insert a picture of him lying on it when we first moved him into college. We made his bed, and I think we put his quilt on there. I'll show it to you. But the first one I'll show you is now. Was a Thimbleberries pattern and a Thimbleberries quilt. That's Lynette Jensen. I'm a big fan of hers. She had sort of more primitive colors, but also kind of modern, sort of cabiny. A lot of her patterns are sort of cabiny. I've got a lot of her books I can show you sometime. But the first one I made was my eldest son, so I'll show that to you now. So here it is. It's a lot of blues and sort of burgundy red, and it's a leaf pattern. And it's thrown on his bed. He hasn't really made his bed very well, but you can see it. And here's the backing fabric. There it is. Whoops. Actually, change of plans. I'm in my daughter's room now, and she also didn't make her bed beautifully, and not terribly well, but you can see the quilt anyway. But this is not actually the quilt I made for her. On her bed, I forgot at the moment, she's got the quilt I made for my mother. I think it's the one I told you that I never bound. My mother used to use it anyway because she loved it, but it's also a Thimbleberries quilt. Thimbleberries pattern, Thimbleberries fabric. It's the one with birdhouses, and I'll show that to you now. Here it is. It's got birdhouses, and there's a couple birdhouses like these. I need to put the little doors on. I still had never done that. I have them all cut out and I never sewed them on. But this is a fun one. And here you can see the back fabric, which is very pretty, but also that I never bound it. It's just raw edge. I do have the fabric. I need to finish this. I will finish it. It would not take me very long. I just need to put the binding on and put those little birdhouse doors on. And then they'll be done. And that was the one I did for my mom. So that's all from me this week. I hope you have a happy Valentine's Day. And I hope you get lots of stitching done. And until next time, I wish you all good things. Bye.